Hey, so this is the 9th edition of my video series Scrolling, where I basically take topics that I'm interested in and make a visual noteboard or whiteboard, if you will, on FigJam, and then I just talk about them. The whole point of the series is for me to learn how to articulate myself a little bit better, especially on the topics that I'm interested in. I want to learn how to express my opinions and also actually to learn about those topics as I'm talking about them, because we've all experienced how you'll be talking about something and you'll discover something that you didn't know about that topic whilst in conversation with someone else. I am starting here this video making a promise to myself, because this has taken very long to record. I keep making mistakes. The promise to myself is this is the one cut, the one take. I'm not going to stop for anything. I'm not going to start again, because I think having that in the back of my mind is causing me problems. So I'm just going to, there's a little bit of honesty for you there, struggling with this one. I'm just going to go through. It's ironic because actually I did the most research on this subject. I don't know if that's probably causing the problem. Maybe I'm trying to dive into areas where I have some knowledge, but I'm not an expert, obviously, because I didn't devise this really cool physical therapy fitness method that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, fuck it, man. Not stopping. Okay, today I'm talking about knees over toes guy. Knees over toes guy is a guy called Ben Patrick. And Ben, basically, when he was younger, when he was 12, 13, he had knee issues, a lot of knee issues. And he said he pretty much had the knees of like an old man. So that motivated him eventually. I'm sure there was some stuff that happened in between then and when he figured this all out. That motivated him to come up with a way to strengthen the knees and prevent injury and just really, really work on the body in a way that I suppose was more aligned with how the body moves. I mean, we're very focused on, I think we probably look at fitness, a lot of us, in the wrong way. We want to get big, we want to get strong. Notoriously, people ignore their legs. Knees over toes guy does not ignore the legs. And we're just a bit single-minded with our approach to fitness, a lot of us. I have been watching this South Korean show, Physical 100. It's on Netflix at the moment. You've probably seen some of it recently. Basically, what they do is they get all the 100 fittest people in South Korea to compete to see who is the absolute peak of physical condition, and it might, maybe there's some debate about whether they are all the fittest, but there's some absolute monsters in there. There's gold medalists, there are UFC fighters, there's world's strongest men competitors, the gymnasts, Olympic gymnasts. I think he was a gold medalist gymnast as well. Just bodybuilders, beasts, absolute beasts, and people from all sorts of different areas of physical success, if you will. And they compete. There's only about halfway through the series now. They haven't released all the episodes, but I've been watching it, and it's just made me think, why go to the gym just to look good? I mean, these lot look good, but why go to the gym just to look good? Why go to the gym just to be strong? Why go to the gym just to be really fit? Of course, there are reasons for those individual things, but why not go to be the absolute best you can be physically, the absolute fittest in every area? And I'm sure by focusing on some, you rule out, say, being the absolute strongest man in the world. You rule out being the best marathon runner if you're sort of focusing on everything. But why not be the best possible that you can be, the most well-rounded? That is just really seeped into me, this idea, and I've been getting really excited about all these different ways that I can improve my body in a well-rounded manner, as I keep saying, well-rounded. I'm obsessed with this idea now, and that is why Knees Over Toes has come at the perfect time for me. I actually got into it a little bit before watching Physical, but that solidified the idea. So, Knees Over Toes guy, Ben Patrick, he's on Instagram, he's on YouTube. Check him out for an actual in-depth understanding of any of this stuff, because I'm just really scraping the surface and probably saying things a little bit wrong, because my understanding, like I said with the point of this series, whilst I may understand something, when I go to articulate it, I don't necessarily articulate what I wanted to say or what I know. So I could know that something is true, but then articulate it in such a way that isn't right. A lot of us have that problem, and that's why one of the reasons why a lot of people have social anxiety and struggle with talking. It's why arguments happen. It's turned into a bit of a meta thing on the series here. This might be a long video. I can shoot through this, and I will do, to take the pressure off me. So yeah, check his videos out if you actually want to get into it. This is just me explaining why I'm into it and a little bit about the types of things that are involved. ATG, Athletic Truth Group, the group that he created, have an app. It's called ATG. You have to subscribe and pay for it. I think you go to their website and then you subscribe. It's like half price for the first month, which is great because I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. I'm only doing a month. Wish I could do more. And on the app, there's various different routines. So there's like a 0 one whereby you don't need, he devised this during COVID, where you don't really need any equipment. Then there's like a dense strength one, which is a little bit more intense. You'll be using weights and things like that. And then there's a male standards, there's female standards, there is mobility, various different ways to get into this, various different sets of exercises and methods. How do I say this? He has channeled his philosophy into a multitude of different channels of a river, let's say, because some people might not have any weights to work with. Some people might want to get super strong in these areas. Some people might just want to be mobile. I lied, I've just done a cut there because I messed up a bit, but whatever, let's just keep rolling forward. So I've got on here, I've got a few of the exercises that are on the, are they on the 0? I think they're on the 0. No, the Nordic isn't. The split squat is, yeah. So tibialis raise, FHL calf raise, and ATG split squat are all on the 0, which is what I've been starting with, just because I don't want to rush in too long. But these are some exercises that Ben sort of focuses on, and the reason I've picked these ones is because they're different than what you might see other people doing in the gym. So the tibialis raise here. The tibialis, anterior tibialis, is a really underappreciated muscle. And you know how people say, oh, making, after exercise, they'll say, I'm making in muscles I didn't even know existed. The anterior tibialis is one of those muscles. It's the one that runs down your shin at the front. And the tibialis raise is essentially just like a backwards calf raise. So you lean against the wall and you just lift. You lift your feet up and then down and up and then down and up and down. I think on 0 it's 25 reps, which, let me tell you, ain't easy. But I'm there now. I'm finally there after a few weeks of doing this. And you hit straight away after doing that, you hit the FHL calf raise, which is strengthening the flexor hallucis longus. The flexor hallucis longus. With both of these exercises, as is the case with a lot of ATG stuff, you are going to protect your joints by strengthening these muscles. The tibialis, I think, will protect your ankle, and I think the idea with both of these is it reduces pressure on your knees when you're walking, doing jumping, running, any kind of physical activity. It reduces I guess how much pressure is going through the knee and maybe even the ankle. Both of these are really good for ankle mobility, which I struggle with. I've got my ankle on my left side clicks constantly. I suffered from a lot of sprains when I was younger. These are two most, in my opinion, the most simple exercises that you can start with, and I have already started to feel better in my legs because of them. That's very vague, isn't it? But I do, and I can see the tibialis muscle almost like looking like it's getting bigger and widening, and my calves, but I'm doing some other stuff as well. One thing to mention, as I've kind of touched on there, the great thing about knees over toes guy and the ATG method is that I got it on the screen. It trains your tendons and your ligaments, not just your muscles. And you know, if you can do that, why would you not? Why would you just focus on muscles? Like, they're not the only part of the body that exist. If you can work on your tendons and ligaments, you're going to get a more overall well-functioning setup. Let's run with it. The Nordic exercise, right? You might have seen this before. So you put your calves under here. It's like it's almost like a reverse hamstring curl. Is that right? I haven't really done hamstring curls at the gym because I wasn't into doing my legs before this, and now I don't necessarily want to use the machines to do them because I've got all of these exercises to work on. But you put your legs under something at the back, someone can sit on them, you can devise your own ways. Ben gives loads of different ways that you can do it, and you just you lean forward, as you can see that the lady is doing there, and then you pull yourself back up. And I think the idea is it's really hard at the beginning, so as with all of the ATG stuff, and I've written it up here, they regress, right? And what that means, and I've only just learned about this, what that means is that there are easier levels to all of them. So that means that anyone can start doing it, and anyone can work from whatever level they're at until they get stronger and can move up to their next level. And that's great, because a lot of this stuff, like, you know, if you can't do a chin up, and I saw someone say this earlier, like, you're not going to get there by just trying and failing over and over again. You need to find a way to make the exercise slightly easier, so you're working the same muscles, but you can build them up and build them up and build them up and finally get into your chin up. If you just keep trying to force a chin up, it's not happening. I think that's the same with the Nordic. With the Nordic, I haven't even tried it yet, to be honest. My gym doesn't have the setup for it, so I would have to use one of Ben's alternate methods, and I don't really have the time when I'm in the gym to figure that out. So it might be like a home exercise that I do. Which, on that point, is another great thing about this. I obviously told you I'm doing Zero. Because of Zero being on this ATG app, and because, I mean, actually, you can find most of the exercises on YouTube, because he's quite kind with that. He releases a lot of the exercises in free videos, I think probably for accessibility purposes. And he does seem like a good guy with an honest goal of helping people out. So that definitely goes in the favour of this whole thing. Great thing is that you can just say, okay, I'll do that one at home, and figure it out and get better at it at home before I try it in the gym, because they're weird exercises. A lot of them, they're eccentric, they're slightly odd to other people in the gym. They might look at you like, what's this person doing? That's a bit weird. I mean, in reality, everyone's in their own mind in the gym, really. No one's thinking too much about other people, and who cares anyway, really. You know, when you go to the gym, you're doing it for you, aren't you? You're not doing it for anyone. Well, maybe if you're trying to look good, you're doing it for someone else. But fuck everyone else in the gym. Be nice to them, but like in your head, like, who cares about them? So I think I'm going to probably try doing this Nordic at home. And the regression of that, I think, looks like you're in the same setup with the thing, your legs under something, but then you have pads, so you're just not going down as low. Or maybe you could have your arms, you could just put your arms out and stop yourself earlier. I don't really know if that would work, but yeah, it regresses. ATG split squat, and I think this is like his main special exercise, the split squat. And I do split squats, but they're really regressed. I use a bar to help me do it, and I do it on a block. So don't point at the screen. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see what I'm doing. You're not in the room, obviously. You're watching on the screen. Anyway, here's the mouse pointer. Yeah, I don't go as low down as Ben here. What I do is I get a block, and I'm kind of like at an angle. There we go. God, I'm a bloody amateur, aren't I? So I'm at an angle like this, and then I'm just kind of like doing it very, very slowly, because it's an intense feeling. You're elongating your hip flexor muscles, whatever's attached to your hip flexors, and I guess you are strengthening. What would you be strengthening? Your hamstrings? Yeah, probably your hamstrings, and I don't know, your ankles. As I've written here, it builds strength, flexibility and balance, and helps a lot with hip problems. I don't know whether I've necessarily had hip problems as such, but I do feel like I have weak hip flexors, and I used to get injuries because of that when I used to play football. And my hips are very, very tight now, to the point where I can't sit cross-legged, and it does my absolute head in. And it's one reason why I'm really into this, because if I can loosen up my hips a bit, I just hate not being able to do something, and sitting cross-legged is ridiculous, right? How can you not sit cross-legged? I think a lot of men actually have that problem. Anyway, it opens up the hip flexors, and I've written here, yeah, there you go. It's tight. They're tight in a lot of people, and that's because of sitting all day. And I think hamstrings are the same. They're tight because most people work in offices and sit all day, and therefore I guess they just tighten up from lack of use or something. Who knows? I wrote this down here because I heard Ben say this in one of his videos. The closer you get to the truth of something, the simpler it becomes. And the way he said it, he didn't say it was like his motto. He just said it. He said he believes in it. And it made me think that that's probably like the underlying thing for all of this for him, is that he believes, and it's called the Athletic Truth Group, he believes that this truth, which by the way, I should say that for a long time people said, and this is why he's called Knees Over Toes Guy, people said you shouldn't let your knees go over your toes when doing squats, for example. And they said it for ages. I think they said it'd cause injury, maybe it wasn't an effective squat or whatever. And it was completely wrong. It was wrong. And a lot of people believed that for the longest time. And now Ben's come about and just been like, nah, I'm Knees Over Toes Guy, because this is good. And you will honestly go to one of his videos, go in the comments, you will see hundreds of people saying thank you. I'm 67 and I've had knee problems all my life. Now I've been doing the split squats alone or the mobility routine, and I can walk properly. My legs feel great. My back isn't hurting as much. My hips have opened up. Or I don't know, I am a 25-year-old and I wanted to become a footballer or whatever, but then I had this injury. Now I can't even run, but I've been doing your stuff, and all of a sudden I can start running again. Things like, honestly, that extreme, the effect of this program seems to be for some people. So I really, really recommend checking it out. I have absolutely scraped the surface of it there, like really just the tiniest, though. Like if it was a layer of icing on the cake, you wouldn't have even seen that someone scraped it. I've done that lighter dive into this, but it's important for me to not put too much pressure on myself to go any deeper with this, because honestly I was getting so frustrated. Because what happened is I did loads and loads of research and I've learnt loads of this stuff, but because I've learnt so much, I think I feel this pressure in my head to talk about it all, but I'm not going to talk about it correctly because I am not an expert on this stuff. When I'm in the gym, I actually get the ATG app up and I look at the exercises over and over again, and I'm still at the stage of really watching my form intently. So for me to pretend to be an expert on this would be silly, but what I can do is recommend it from someone who has started doing it and been doing it for about 2-3 weeks to a month, I think it is. I've been learning about it for a month anyway, probably really getting into the exercises for about 3 weeks and starting to scale them up, which feels great. Something that I've not talked about is that I briefly mentioned he has like mobility stuff, stretches and things like that, and actually that's one of the things that I've gotten really into. I talked about my tight hips. I'm trying to open my hips up as much as I possibly can, and on the zero thing you alternate. I think you have one day where you do the leg exercises and some upper body exercises, and then you do stretches the next day with the odd, I don't know if there's any strength stuff there, but mostly stretches the next day. And I've been doing these stretches as often as I possibly can, and my legs already feel better for it. Not only that, but I'm excited to do them every day, because this idea of progress with the tightness of my body, and if you have tight hamstrings and you loosen them up, often back pain will go away. The whole body's connected. It's like well, shall we finish up there? I guess one more point is that I think the great thing about this method is that it's like a holistic method. Ben believes that you should work from the very bottom of your body up, and maybe that's the extremities up, because I think he also believes that you should do the same with your arms. He talked to a guy in one of his videos the other day about strengthening your wrists, and actually Peter Attia, who is on Instagram, he's got a podcast called Drive with Peter Attia. He's a doctor and he's super into health stuff like this. Of course he's a doctor, but like physical stuff as well as just as well as like internal health, I guess. And He actually says that grip strength correlates with longevity, so how long someone lives. If like when grip strength starts to deteriorate, it seems to correlate with, yeah, I guess how soon their demise might come about. And this return to the point, man. Return to the point. This whole idea, Athletic Truth Group's idea, Knees Over Toast Guys' idea, is that you should work on everything. Get everything working properly. Don't just focus on the upper body because your arms look big and you want your chest to look nice and you want to be powerful. You want to be able to deadlift or whatever. That's not a deadlift. That's deadlift. You want to be able to squat. Yeah, you got powerful legs, but what's happening in your ankles? Are you messing your ankles up because you've never really worked on them? Or your knees suffering because you haven't really ever worked on the joints? You just worked on having massive thighs. It is very holistic, and I think that is how we should think about our bodies. You know, we all know that diet is really important when it comes to fitness. Let's think about little things like, I mean, microbiome is an interesting one, which is, you know, really come to the fore over the past 5-6 years, maybe 10 years now. Time moves fastly, especially with COVID, the COVID years that we lost. Think about everything. Think about your toes even, which Knees Over Toes guy does do. And yeah, let's leave it there for now because I need to go for a walk with my little boy and my partner. So yeah, nice video. Catch you later. See you next week. Bye bye.